It is a very warm welcome back to Matchbook's US Golf Podcast. And of course, it's PGA Championships time. The 103rd version and installment of the PGA Championship. We're recording this now live on Matchbook social channels on Tuesday afternoon, US-wise. For the gentlemen that are joining me, Director of Content with Bet Sports even, at the bottom of the screen, Mr. Andy Molitor. Guten Tag. Top of the screen, he is co-host of the For-Profit Podcast, Mr. James Mazzola. Gentlemen, it's good to have you on board. It just seems like the year is creeping up very gradually. We're into May, second major. JD, another busy week for you, buddy. I'm going to see your face all over the shop, all over town.
Yeah, if the Masters was my Super Bowl, this is definitely a championship game for me this week. So the PGA Championship, Kiawah Island, I'm super excited, and it should be a good tournament.
Yeah, Andy Molitor, busy week for you as well on your challenge. Lot going out.
Oh yeah, no, I got to play my Nintendo golf tonight. I got to get my whole card ready, figured out. Oh my God, there's so many. Yeah, there's so many I mean, you guys have what? How many matchups is it?
113.
Yeah, there's a lot to dig through this week, and the offerings. You're gonna have a lot of props and stuff out there too. So, a lot to do before we tee off pretty early on Thursday morning. And it's morning for JD out there. I think it's not even lunchtime for you, is it?
Not quite.
Not even going to go to bed on Wednesday night. Guarantee you, not even going to go to bed on Wednesday night. JD, talk to me about the course, Kiawah Island. It's a tricky one. There's basically no real course one. Go back to about 2012 was the last time this major played. Rory McIlroy won then. I've heard stories about one half of the course, the wind is coming in from the east. The other half that's coming in from the west. It's a bit of a tricky one, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely tricky. And, even before we talk about that, we're talking about coverage. We have like 12 hours straight of coverage here, which is like nice. Wild for the PGA Tour. So that's really exciting. I will be up probably not at 4 a.m. when it starts at my time, 7, 8, something like that. But Kiawah Island, like I said, we haven't seen this thing since 2012. Since then, they've added another 200 yards to it. It'll play as the longest major of all time. And, when we talk about 2012, Rory McIlroy kind of ran away with it, won by, I think it was, like 5-6 strokes over a field of mostly European guys and of guys who are no longer in the scene. So we have a brand new, 8 years later or 9 years later, brand new field, brand new group of guys attacking this golf course. It will play rather difficult. It's going to play long. And, depending upon the winds, that's really where the difficulty will lie. Here's the thing. I'm not seeing much in the way of winds this week. It's looking anywhere from 10 to 15. That can obviously change as part of the world. It's coming off the Atlantic. You never know. And the other thing is for all accounts say that the fairways in particular are playing very firm, which means your drives are going to be running out into above average width fairways this week. So if you miss the fairways, you're kind of screwed. But the fairways are a lot wider than what we see week to week on the PGA Tour. And the greens very soft, very slow. Paspalum doesn't have that ability to get really firm and to roll at lightning speed. So everyone's talking about this narrative that this is going to be a difficult golf course. I don't believe that. I actually think they're going to be able to score here. And, as long as guys are keeping it in play, they will be able to hit long irons into soft greens and even the best golfers in the world. This is a different class of golfer than what we saw in 2012. These are like the Tigerites, right? These are the kids who grew up watching them, who grew up playing since they were a kid. These guys, I believe, as long as the weather holds what we're seeing now, I think the difficulty thing is overblown. Pete Dye doesn't really have golf courses to play like overly difficult off the tee, so you're going to be able to see this. I think you're going to be able to see these guys score on this golf course, and I'm gonna handicap it accordingly.
I will say just about the wind. I did look at the weather myself earlier on, and the locals in this area believe that even on a calm day, that this wind comes in from the Atlantic and on that side, and it's just a bit tricky. Andy, I saw you shaking your head that this course is going to play easy. You're expecting something a bit different?
No, I just wanted to throw in too the fact that there's 6 tee boxes on every hole too. If it does get I'm agreeing with JD on the difficulty. They've said this and they will do this. If it does get really, really windy, like a headwind coming on one of the holes, they can just move up and use one of the other tee boxes, and they will. Like the PGA, I can't think of his name, but the guy who runs PGA and is in charge of all this, is they can just make the decision to use different tee boxes if they think a hole is going to be too wildly difficult based on because you're not going to stop the winds. You can just move the golfers up a little. It's going to be windy. They're going to be fighting that all weekend.
All right, let's take a look at the outright betting currently at Matchbook.com. Let's just get a sense of where we're at with this. Not really that surprising. Rory is favourite here, and he's in good form, obviously, in the last couple of weeks. He's 13.0 at Matchbook.com. John Rahm is 16.5. Justin Johnson, there's been a lot of money. I looked at DJ this morning. It's 20.0. He's into 17.5 now. Justin Thomas, 18.5. Jordan Speed, 19.0. Both of those guys are industry best price on this side of the Atlantic here at Matchbook.com. Bryson DeChambeau, 20.0. Victor Hovland, 22. That's pretty short. Xander Schauffele, 24s. Daniel Berg, 37. Morikawa, 37. Patrick Reed, 39.0. Hideki Matsuyama, 46.0. Andy, first to you. I didn't even mention your guy. You're going for 91.0 shot as just a bit of a kind of a swing for the fences. I love that. Who is
Usti, and that's the thing too. You know, Usti, you take a big number like this, maybe you go find yourself a top 20 too, just to make sure you get a little money. Sometimes you're right about these, but you're not quite right enough for him to win the tournament. But yeah, it's a big number for a guy who's been playing well, hasn't missed a cut all year, has multiple top 10s, and concession was tough. He played well at the Masters, top 10 at Valspar. He played okay at the Players, and just I like his shot. Beautiful. One of the best swings ever, maybe. I don't know. I'm really going full. I'm maybe hyperbole, but a really, really nice swing. I think everybody on tour would agree. He can hit it a little lower, kind of cut through some of these winds. So a guy like that, I don't mind him on a course like this at a stupid fat number. I think he should. I was expecting him in the 66, somewhere in that range, and you find him 80, not like you said 90 to 1. So yeah, just kind of a value play on Usti here.
Yeah, 66 is with a lot of the sports books on this side of the Atlantic. So getting that extra bit of juice in Matchbook currently. JD, I touched on one of the big market movers at Matchbook today, Dustin Johnson, and you kind of get why he's one of your picks this week.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little closer to the correct DJ number. 10 was a bet for me, and we're looking at the number one player in the world. There are some injury concerns, I guess. To me, I just don't think he wanted to play the Byron Nelson. He is an AT&T guy, so he has to play there. The only way he can get away with not doing so is by having an injury. The dude was doing backflips off a yacht the week before. So, I mean, if you're hurt, maybe he leaked that. Maybe that was from the fall or something. I don't know, but that's just not something I'm putting out there if I'm actually healthy. Then he goes ahead and WDs because of a knee. But that tournament last week was more or less kind of a shit show, especially what they're going to see this week. We get the number one player in the world, and we've seen a theme of guys kind of drifting, and then it's like, man, this guy has too much skill to be down here in the 20s. We saw it with JT, we saw it with Rory at Wells Fargo. I think DJ is really fitting that mold this week. 17 is a little closer. I think it's probably still a bet, but ultimately, that 20 number was just wild, and I mean, I understand why it's creeping. And then the other guy, I mean, and you mentioned it, Hovland. I think you said 22. I just don't understand. To me, it's like I think we've just gone
high train, man. This guy gets it.
Let's pull it back a little bit now. Yeah. Do I think this guy's not going to win I think he's probably a multi-major winner. He's got more talent. He's won in every stage. I'm a big pedigree guy. If you have a USAM win, if you've done what he did at the collegiate level and the amateur level, like, you're probably going to have success. But when I look at two guys who are priced way longer at Berger and Morikawa, who at this stage of their career have just shown more ability to win big profile golf tournaments, I don't understand the difference between those prices. Berger and Morikawa at their numbers will absolutely be bets for me. And I want some Hovland, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of guys who have him in like the 30 and 40 range from previous to this week, which I absolutely think is great. And I wish I was that guy. But this 22 number is just absolutely wild when you have guys who have shown more and have at least the same skill set as him. At longer prices.
I'm absolutely shocked that you like Morikawa. This isn't like you.
Baby.
It's kind of out of nowhere.
Wow, really out of nowhere. We're going to, like we said, there's 113 matchups at Matchbook.com. Guys are going to pick out 4 each. But if you do want to get involved, and there's some big price on these outrights, especially with the exchange, like we were saying about Andy there at 91.0. I mean, look, there's 66s at sportsbooks. If you're having your 10 or 20 quid, you're better off having it at Matchbook.com. And if you do sign up at Matchbook today, you get, using bonus code INSIGHTS, that's INSIGHTS, you'll get 0% commission on all sports for 30 days. I'll cover you for the majors, will cover you into the Euros. That's coming up as well. Like, and I know Andy's really excited about the Euros. He loves the Euros. And yeah, you just use that bonus code and you get 0% commission. But you got to use that bonus code, because if you don't, you will not get it. JD, kick us off. Marquee matchup. Justin Thomas to beat John Rahm. He's 2.13 plus 113. What's the case here?
on the golf course where, everyone's saying, the putting's not going to matter. These things are going to run 11. There's not a ton of undulation, and they have to be, by the way, they have to be long and they have to be slow because if the wind does kick up, you're going to see what we saw at Riviera where they have to cancel the whole damn tournament for an afternoon until the wind stops. So this is just going to be how these greens are going to go because they can't have that happen at a PGA. So when we get slow greens, when we get non-undulation, that takes away one of Rahm's biggest strengths, and it helps one of JT's biggest weaknesses, which is the flat stick. Now, when we look at, obviously Rahm is absolutely dominant off the tee. JT can get a little squirrely. Distance-wise, they're relatively equal. I like the wide fairways for Justin Thomas, but more important, from everything I've heard, this is going to be a second shot golf course, and Justin Thomas is the best, one of the best, 1A, 1B to my son Colin, at long iron play, in any kind of way. And, when we've heard from John Rahm recently is that he's still not overly comfortable with this equipment change. Obviously, the new child is something an angle that I've kind of pounded. He beat Bryson last week. Neither played very well, by the way. But ultimately, when I look at a course that, putting is not going to matter as much, and it's going to be, hey, who can pound greens? Around the greens is very difficult. Shaved really tight. Up and downs are going to be tough. I like JT in that, and to me, him as a dog is just an absolute no-brainer to Rahm. I just make these guys a pick 'em, so I'll take the 0.13 in this matchup.
Yeah, miscut and 34 to Rahm. His worst back-to-back finish since August. Andy, Charles Schwartzel had a terrific week last week, tied third, and he easily won his matchup that you guys. I can't remember which one of you picked him, but one of you picked him. And he's 1.99 minus 101 to beat Justin Rose, my least favorite European golfer. Fun fact there for you.
Why is that?
I just don't like the guy. Do not like the guy.
Okay.
He's technically not European. He's South African. So there you go.
There you go.
Oh yeah, they both are. So anyway, we got. Everybody has said this too. Europeans are lining up to probably play pretty well at this course. So naturally, I think all of my matchups are against Europeans. So I'm just playing with fire. Maybe
you're generally just taking that off that this isn't a links course, but some people think it is, and it's not. But it's not really. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a weird coastal course with some length, and I mean, so much wind and a lot of water, a lot of sand, a lot of goofy. Like we said, the fairways are wide, but you can get in some trouble here too. But going against the European right away, and like you said, Schwartzel, Charles playing better every week. If you look, if you really want to look at like an up and to the right chart, look at his last 5 tournaments. He's finished better than the previous week every week for the ones he's played for the past 5 tourneys, including a very impressive 4 days at the Byron Nelson. And then Rose, I don't know. With everything that happened to him in the last year, the coach, the caddy, the equipment changes, everything he's done, I look at his results, and the only thing that scares me is he said this in interviews, is that he says he can still compete at major tournaments. And then you go back and look, and he's had a lot of bad results, but then he plays well at the Masters. He played well last year at Harding Park. Some of these really good results, and I don't know if it's more. Hopefully it's just outliers, because I'm seeing his stats, I'm seeing his results at other tournaments, and it's not scaring me, especially at a pick 'em. Essentially, I'm getting Schwartzel is the dog in this one with the over-round. So I'm getting Schwartzel as a slight dog here. And outside of the Rose Masters results, he's had a missed cut and a pretty bad performance at the concession this year. So this year's results compared to Schwartzel, I would have Schwartzel as a slight favorite here. So I'll take him at pretty much evens.
Yeah, like it. Hard to go against that. JD, back to you. Tony Finau to beat Cameron Smith. He's 1.86 currently, or minus 116. He's been in good form in 2021. Was 3 top 10 finishes, 3 runner-up finishes, and 2 other top 10s is pretty good. You expect a big week from here this week?
Yeah, and Cam Smith has been playing very well as well. I mean, we're looking at 9th at the Heritage, 10th at the Masters, 17th at the Players, all behind pure short game. Like his ball striking is so far behind Finau's that when we think about what's going to be necessary to be successful here, I have to back Tony at this price. Cam Smith, gained 2.3 putting at the Heritage. We don't know Masters because they're so proprietary. Little nose up there. 5.8 at the Players and 6.9 at the WGC Mexico putting. And again, if we're talking about slow, unundulated greens where putters are their advantage is going to be neutralized to a certain extent, I just don't see how he's going to be able to be successful in this golf course with his inability to strike the ball. I mean, losing strokes on approach at the Heritage, barely gets off the tee, losing 2.4 to Players, losing 3.2 in Mexico. showed that it's elevated there. Like I get hit 300-yard drives there. So I don't really understand how he's going to be able to get the ball T2 green, and the short game is going to be nullified. When we think about, Tony Finau, he can hit any shot you want, right? Long driver. We have an excellent iron player. His biggest bugaboo is that putter. I don't even know if he knows how to hold it at this point. Like he might as well just like put it between his fingers and like just try and figure something out. But it sounds like that might be enough here on these greens. So I'm going to go with the ball striker. I'm making him just a little bit more of a favorite than he is. And, in terms of fit for this course, I think it's a picture perfect spot for Finau.
I see a couple of questions coming in, guys. Keep them coming. We'll rattle through these matchups and we'll get to them at the end of it. Andy, back to you. Sam Burns beat Abraham Ancer. 2.23 plus 123. Great week for Burns last week. Leg going into Sunday and obviously lost by 3 shots in the end. But he's a nice price here. Good odds against.
Yeah, I think that is mostly for me is the price here. I would think this be a little closer to pick him. I like Ancer quite a bit. He's a guy I've backed, recently. But Sam Burns, is there anybody playing hotter recently? First and a second, last 2 times out. The weekend wasn't as great for him, and it cost him the tournament. But he still went out there and shot 22 under, and he had a really great Thursday, Friday. Looked good doing it. And really he didn't even really putt that well last week and still went 22 under, again, an easier course, but he didn't make up for a lot of it on the green there. 2 weeks ago he got it, or 2 weeks ago. So 2 tournaments ago when he did get his win. But I think this probably comes down to some of the stuff around the green for Burns. Again, I make this a little bit of a coin toss. If I'm going to get this price, I'm going to bet him. I do like Ancer. I can't make a clear distinction like, Burns is just going to blow him out of the water. He's this much better. But around the green, avoiding some bogeys, if Burns can get some of that stuff cleaned up, he'll win this. And he should be, if you've seen Ancer play, anyone who's seen Ancer play, he comes up to like here on me, and he's not going to be a big driver of the ball. It is a long course. It isn't like, we need bombers and you got to hit it 325 to win here, but it is being able to clearly outdrive little Abe is going to put, it's going to put Burns in some advantageous spots for his second shots. We've talked about second shots being important. I don't know if you mentioned that about the greens. We talked about the greens being soft. The greens are also small. Like they're not very big. As soft as they are, if you're hitting if your second shots are for a little further out, it's that much more difficult to find them. I think all you have to do is find them. They're soft enough where you can catch, and I think that's going to be a big advantage for Burns here. So yeah, Abe, below average. He does make up for inaccuracy off the tee. He gains a lot of strokes off the tee being shorter, but I don't know if that's going to translate as well here because everybody's going to hit the fairway. Like you said, there's spots where these fairways are 50 yards wide. There's some big sprawling fairways, big landing spots. So I don't take that into account here. And I'm going to take my underdog in Sammy Burns. Let me down a little last week. I had him outright. Yeah. I really wanted that one, but it still felt good to be kind of right.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Birdies and birdies last week. I actually don't really like that. Not for me. Not for me. No, not for me. No. JD, back to you. A bit of English on English here. Double muster Hatton to beat Fleetwood 1.72 or I don't know what 1.39 is on the inside there, but minus 139 is what it should be.
That'll work.
Yeah,
that's your first mess up of the season. That's really impressive.
That's my producer. That's my producer, which is
yeah, a little English on English crime here. I haven't seen anything from Fleetwood this year. It's been a long time since we've seen him, the kind of form that we did when he was backdooring, second place finishes at every major by shooting 65 on irrelevant Sundays. But miscut at the Heritage, miscut at the Players. Didn't play overly well at the Masters. At this point, his floor, and mostly because and we're if we're gonna go with the putting angle, we have to admit like he's a bad putter, so maybe it does help him a little bit here. But generally his floor is just we're looking at miscuts and a lot of 40ths, and Hatton's floor is just way higher. And so when I'm assessing full tournament head-to-heads, it's kind of the first spot, right? We're looking at what guys have that floor that allows them to make the cut, obviously. And when we talk about Hatton, he's more or less a top 25 machine at this point. Hasn't shown that form that he did last year pre-COVID. This is one of the guys where COVID hurt the most, by the way, because he was one of the best players in the world going in last year. So we saw a little bit of a bounce back. The 23rd at the RCM, 21st at the defending his API there, and 18th at the Masters. I just think his all-around game, and if we talk about the win picking up, neither of these guys are going to have any issues with that. At this point, Hatton is just a far superior player, and at that number, I make it just way higher than that. So I'm just Fleetwood's form just hasn't been the same, and I'm just going to keep riding the fade of him. He's so far down in my model that I have to Control F to find him at this point. So I'm just gonna keep with the fade, and a guy at Hatton who is super solid, who I even like to actually, compete for this win here, to be honest with you. And I saw him at like 60s and 70s earlier in the week. I missed it. But, if you can find those numbers, I think it's a valid outright number as well.
Yeah, Hatton's a quality player. No doubt. He's not far away at all. Andy, Corey Connors to beat Matthew Fitzpatrick. Big price. Well, big-ish. I thought it might actually be a bit shorter. 1.99 minus 101. Connor's been good form. Like, he hasn't played that much of late, but he had a good result at the Masters, and he followed it up at the RBC Heritage with tied fourth. And to be honest, I haven't seen Fitzpatrick much in the last couple of weeks. So what's the angle here on this one?
Yeah, Corey's a guy I've backed a lot. Connors, everybody knows this. Anyone who talks to me knows I love Corey Connors. I've bet him to win a few. I've bet him in a lot of matchups. It's Corey. He's approach, greens and regulation, godlike numbers on that. And it's just, again, putting, dragging him down. I don't want to belabor the putting doesn't matter here point, but he should have an easier time. That should kind of even the field as far as once they get on. And like I said, I think over the sample size I used, he was number 1 in greens and regulation. Yeah, he was. Gained on the field. The guy is just great with his irons. We talk about it being a second shot course. If he's finding these small greens, they're going to catch, and the putting should just come. Because some of these results where he's, let the putting has let the rest of his game down. Like you said, 8th at Augusta, 4th at RBC. In fact, 5 straight top 20s if you go back. And then he had a 21st and a 43rd. After, again, if his putter doesn't keep up with the rest of his game, it's good enough to make the cut, but he's not going to finish in the top 10, top 15, top 20 there. So even a 21st there where he didn't putt so well, I'll take that from a guy. Like, that wins a lot of matchups. I think, essentially getting him as a dog here again, right around evens, I'll take that. And, I don't want to say anything bad about Fitzpatrick. Again, betting against another one of these guys who a lot of people are tipping him to play well here. He's had good results as well. He was I think they tied. They were both 4th at RBC. He was 10th back at the API. And I think that the difference being a lot of his results were while he was losing strokes on approach and gaining them on the green. He did some of his better results were just the result of putting very well. And I don't think you're going to set yourself apart doing that here. So neither of them drives the ball very long. They're not long hitters, but Corey will be doing a little more with his second shot. So getting him at a dog price, I like quite a bit. And he's a guy I'll probably be looking at for, like a top 20 price as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. JD, back to you. You had to go down far to find this one, buddy. You had to go.
Tom Lewis
to 112. I think you had to go up to the 113. You have to go all the way down. But I've showed you that search function now, so you're good. Tom Lewis, another Englishman from Hertfordshire, to beat Denny McCarthy, who is ultimately the most Irish name ever, but he's not actually Irish. His parents, he's probably great-grandparents. Probably.
He's got something.
Definitely got something there. 1.99 minus 101, exact same price here. What's the case here? Because I'm not gonna BS you and say no anything about either of these guys.
I did have to mix. To be honest, the market's well priced this week. I didn't have a whole lot. I mean, there's some weeks where I'll have 15, 20 matchups, and this week I have a lot smaller pool here. So had to do a little digging here, I should say. I really like Tom Lewis's game though. This is a guy that I've backed a little bit here and there. Especially in matchups. He's a great driver of the golf ball. So he's going to have a leg up on Denny McCarthy, who absolutely 100% has his tour card because of his putter. That's it. Like there's nothing good about the way he hits the ball whatsoever. He is one of the best putters on tour. He will have his tour card. He finishes like in the 100th in the Fed Cup every year. So that means he doesn't have to go to the coin tour to get it back. And that's only because he can putt, because he can't hit the ball. So when we look at Tom Lewis, he will have an advantage off the tee. He will be sitting in most of these fairways because he is a strong driver of the golf ball. Iron play is very average. That's fine. I mean, he's gonna find plenty of greens, and the big numbers are off the tee, because if you start missing it way sideways, that's how you make the big numbers here. Not necessarily on the approach or around those greens. So again, we're belaboring this point. I understand. I just don't think McCarthy can strike the ball anywhere near well enough, especially if it gets windy. Hopefully, it gets windy for this matchup. Lewis should be right at home. Playing a lot of European Tour events, 2 European Tour wins. The guy is a solid pedigree coming from Europe. I'm not even your guy. I've made my stance very clear on how I feel about the tour. I do love the fact that he has a strong driving game, and if it gets windy, he's gonna be ready to go. McCarthy just can't hit the ball, so I'm going to go ahead and fade the poor ball striker.
Sounds like McCarthy should be playing like par 3 tournaments.
It's bad. It's just bad. I don't know what to tell you.
Good to know.
Andy, it's a short course, though, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Just the 7,800 yards. Emiliano Grillo to be Robert MacIntyre, 1.74 minus 135. I think we've gone against MacIntyre 70% of our shows this season, and it's a pretty profitable one, I think. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be going back to the well, I'm suggesting.
Yeah, he's a great young golfer. He's an above average European Tour player, but he's average on the, average just slightly. I actually put him probably right at average on the tour right now because he's a good player. But I love Grillo right now. And Grillo, again, you start looking at some of the stuff that these guys have played. You're getting some lesser tournaments like Corrales, Punta Cana, and the Puerto Rico, but I mean, it's still the tour, and he does have 4 top 20s in the past 3 months. Well, MacIntyre had a decent showing at the Masters, and again, that's probably about it on this side of the pond. It's hard to equate European results, or when some of these guys early in the year, they, like we've talked about earlier, when they're playing in the Middle East, it's hard to say, like, take that. How does that result compare to playing out in California early in the season or down in Texas, the Florida swing? It's tough, but at the same time, I think we do have some results enough to properly grade how MacIntyre plays against the field being on the tour. And I think he's going to be on the tour for a long time. He's good. And again, tough without, like JD said, without the real shot data from the Masters. So it's tough to tell exactly what happened there without going back and learning a bunch of Python and parsing some code on where the balls landed for him. But if taking that aside, MacIntyre hasn't gained on approach at any of the tournaments at this calendar year on this side of the pond. And again, his second best showing, a 36 that Arnold Palmer was buoyed by, putting again. So, and again, the Grillo driver, if we just want to keep pounding a driver, like Grillo's going to hit the ball further. He's an above average driver as far as distance goes. His accuracy is okay, but it just I made him a bigger favorite. I'm laying a little bit of juice here. Again, if you lay this somewhere else where they sell strokes, that's not the worst look. But I'd still play this. I'd play at -135 here to fade MacIntyre one more time with one of my favorite South American golfers. I don't know if I know that many. Two, him and Neiman. Is that
Vegas?
Vegas, yes, in
Vegas. Yeah, Johnny Vegas. Yeah, can't beat him. All right. So there's 8 matchups in the book. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you want to recap of those, check out insights.matchbook.com. They'll be listed there from Wednesday afternoon. Let's just get 1 or 2 questions before we get to best matchup bets, guys. One from Jeff Boyardee. Zalatoris -120. That's 1.83 in decimal terms. Over Sung Jae Im was my favorite matchup of the week. Thoughts?
I would bet that as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, for me, Sungjae's for whatever reason, he's turned into like the Ben Crenshaw of the PGA Tour. The dude is just one of the best players now. I don't know where the ball striking went. I mean, that was kind of his forte, when he was making that run last year. And it's plenty fine to be a wonderful putter because at some point the ball striking will come around. This guy will just start, rattling off some W's, but we haven't seen it yet. I mean, Willie Z, that guy should be able to just do whatever he wants on this golf course. A Texas guy already, so the wind should be a problem. I absolutely like that matchup. But again, Jeff always gives us matchups that I have to search, like far and wide throughout the depths of the internet to find. So we'll see if we can get that one somewhere.
Yeah, if Jeff, you're still watching, let JD know where he can get on. Basically, that was the subtle message there. Andy, any thoughts on that one? In agreement?
Yeah, I don't mind fading Sung Jae a little here, especially with somebody like Zal, who has proved, and we've said this time and time again about some of these young guys over the past few years. They don't come up timid anymore. They come up ready to win a tournament on the tour right off I think the Corn Ferry's improved a lot over the years, or whatever they used to call back in the day. But these guys come up ready to win right now. He's not scared to play with this sort of field.
Another question in from Austin Hansen 10 on Twitter. Any thoughts on Brian Harman this week? He's like him plus 250 or 3.5 as top lefty.
I can't get Brian Harman right. Every time I fade this guy, he just beats my ass. So I'm just done. Like he shouldn't fit this golf course, but he's playing so good right now. I'm just leaving him be. Like it sounds good. Love it.
Yeah, I have to have a look. At that. I was just trying to rack my brain. I knew Bubba was there. I knew
Phil, Bubba. Who else do you? I mean,
that's pretty much it. Garrick Higa, Robert
MacIntyre.
Oh, MacIntyre.
Yeah. Yes, he's a lefty. So there's 5 lefties. It's Bubba, Higo, Mickelson, MacIntyre, Harman. He'd be favorite or co-favorite with Bubba at most of these, I would assume. So I don't hate that unless you have strong feelings about Bubba here.
Yeah. JD, just so you know, Jeff did reply. You can check it out yourself. I'm not going to bring it up on the screen.
Cool. There's another one that Jeff has that I think it's interesting. I don't know if we can talk about DJ over Hovland. I would be betting DJ there.
Yes, that was another comment then. Yeah, DJ minus 110 over Hatton. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
bet.
surely it would be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It seems like a good price, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, best bets, guys. Of the matchups there that we covered, what's the best bet for each of you on that one? Who wants to jump in first?
Go ahead, Andy.
Toe as well.
I mean, Usti outright is the best bet. That's because that's going to pay the best. It's going to win you the most. But oh man, probably the Rose fade. Yeah, Schwartzel over Rose at essentially evens. Like again, I love that price. I like how Schwartzel's playing lately, and I deserve a little bit of redemption from fading Rose. I bet Rose to miss the cut at the Masters. That was one of those where you just throw your hands up. But like, I guess he's good this week, so I need some redemption against Justin. I'm happy to bet against your least favorite European, and Schwartzel's playing so well lately. I like that price quite a bit.
JD, which one is yours?
I'm going to add that one as well. I'm going to be betting that. I'm going to take JT. You know, whenever I get the best ball striker in the world at a plus money, I just click it and call it good. I don't think Rahm's where Rahm is at his game right now sets up well for this golf course. And JT always likes that PGA championship coming from the fathers. If you need a subjective angle for it as well. So I think JT's iron play will make him superior this week. Yeah,
one of Sawgrass and a Pete Dye as well. So maybe I like best price at Matchbook.com currently, as you said. 18.5 if you want to look at them for the outrights as well. Andy, James, been a pleasure as ever. Enjoy the PGA Championship. We'll be back now. I don't even want to think about next week because the week after a major is always just come on. Let's just get through this week. And
West Open's only about a month away.
It's so cool. It's just all coming together. It's fantastic. Best luck at your bets this week. Don't forget, if you want to sign up for 0% commission, use the bonus code INSIGHTS. Sign up at Matchbook.com for all of your golf bets. Bye for now, and we'll chat to you soon. Take care.